Cool. Right. Afternoon. How are we? We all good?
Good, thanks. Yeah, how are
Yeah.
you?
All good. Thank you. All good. Right. Afternoon again. We're here with Off Lead with Stuart and Emma, and we are joined with Holly, which is 1/3, I believe, of the new, let's say, UKA management team. So you're the
Yeah.
owners, aren't you, now of UKA?
Yeah.
For those who
Congratulations.
don't know UKA, we'll say UK Agility just in case, but I think everybody knows what we mean when we say UKA. But UK Agility is the official title of that at the moment. So how did that come about? Was it just something you planned, or just
Oh.
let's do it?
No, it wasn't really planned. It was just sort of a, yeah, why not? Because we basically, well, Karen, well, we all ran UKA shows anyway.
Yeah.
And I think Karen had spoken to Greg, who's the previous owner, and he sort of said that he was looking to sell it maybe June, July last year. And obviously there weren't any UKA shows in the diary past September. So we were just all at a show one weekend, and we thought, oh, why don't we see if we can do it? And
Was
we
it
just
over a bottle of wine, Holly?
No, it wasn't actually. It sounds like it should have been, but it wasn't. We were all sober in the middle of a dog show. Just thought, yeah, let's have a go and just see. So that's where it started.
Cool. So who are the other ones then, Holly? So there's you, Karen and Georgia, isn't it?
Yep. So got Karen Ingram, who runs Canine Brats agility shows. She's a canine behaviourist as well, so she does a lot of dog training. And then you've got Georgia Hatton as well. So Georgia and I run the UK Bounce and Squeak shows together. So that's how we know each other.
Perfect.
So for those people that don't know, when did you actually start your new ownership?
So we started the 1st of November 2022. So that's when we officially took over, and we've been running with it since then.
Perfect. Perfect. So how have you found the initial sort of first couple of months jumping in?
It's been very busy, I can't lie. It's been super hectic. And I think it was kind of a crazy time of year to take over, because not only did we have sort of the handing over from Greg and Becky and the previous team, but we had to sort of get ready for this year, get all the grand finals information ready, heats ready, obviously speak to all of you show managers, because obviously Stuart, you managed one of the shows for us. So it's been very hectic. And it's sort of I say plateauing now, but it's still very busy. Because we've got, a very full diary for this year, but it's been really good so far.
Cool. And you've all got sort of full-time jobs as well, haven't you? So it's not, which is obviously even harder, really, trying to do that and your full-time jobs as well.
I noticed.
Yeah, we make time though.
Carry on. No, go on, carry on.
No, you. I was just going to say, no, we managed to make time though, and we do split it out between ourselves. So if one of us is busy, because Karen works completely different hours to myself and Georgia, because we both sort of work in an office, and then Karen works the evenings because she does the dog training, but we make it work.
That's cool. Cool.
And I've noticed some new shows coming along.
Yes,
it's popping up all the time, don't
they? Yeah. So as soon as we took over, pretty much we had inquiries from people about doing shows. We've had a lot of new show managers come on board, which is great. We're still pushing for more new shows, however, because we want to make sure that everybody's got a UK show within reach. So we're still getting there with some areas, but yeah, it's fantastic that so many people have said, well, actually we want to give this a try. Because we can't do everything ourselves, and we think it is relatively easy to run a UK show. So the Bounce and Squeak was just Georgia and I. We don't have a club between us, so we just did it ourselves with Karen helped, because she's a local UK show manager herself. But it is easy, and I think that's what people, when they speak to us, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. So it's been really good.
What sort of things does it involve for those that are watching? I know Stuart knows. I don't know. Never run a UK. I've never run a show. I do my little shows, but so what sort of things does it involve?
So pretty much as a show manager, you're responsible for finding the venue, finding judges, deciding what classes you want, paying for your venue, your equipment, your trophies, rosettes. But UK we do the scheduling for you, we do the processing for you. We can help you find venues, we can help you find judges, you know, we help with course design, we do the schedule for you, and just we provide the insurance as well, documentation you need. So it's a bit easy. I've never run a KC show, but I think from what I've heard from show managers, it is easier than running a KC show, because it's not, you know, we provide the insurance, that type of thing that you need. So yeah, we've got a whole show managers pack that we send out to anyone that's even remotely interested, and it's got tons of information in there that explains it all. But we want to help people, you know, we don't want to just throw anyone in at the deep end. So anything that we can help with, we will definitely help with.
Yeah, it is relatively straightforward to run a UKA show. Like, we've been doing it for years. Becky and myself have been running them for a few years, and we used to obviously help Greg as well at quite a few of his shows, stuff like that. So behind the scenes, and yeah, it is all right. It is a stressful situation to start with. It does sort of get you, but once you're into it, and the day is happening, it pretty much runs itself, to be honest. And everybody at a UKA show, most people at a UKA show, they know how it works. So most of your competitors and the clients and all that, they generally know how it works anyway. So when they turn up, you don't have to do a great deal once they're there. You just got to make sure everything's ticking over. So it is relatively straightforward. So if anybody is looking into it, then I would definitely get them to get in touch with you, because if you've got a venue, decent venue, then, you know, the country's crying out for more of the, you know, different sort of variety of shows and classes and stuff. So I think it's definitely worth having a look at for me. You've just got one over in Ireland at the moment, haven't you?
Yeah, so we went over to Northern Ireland last weekend. So that's the very first one they've had over there. And that was a large equestrian, well, I say a large equestrian centre, one ring basically. So it was like 60 metres long, 40 metres wide. So they only had one ring all day. Just did steeplechase classes, but it was a great success. There were lots of people attended, lots of beginners, which was great. So it was really, really good, and they're looking to put some more on over there, which is great news, because I know even with Kennel Club shows in Northern Ireland, they don't have that many. So for beginners, it's really for them to get sort of the show practice. It's something that's a bit more informal than Kennel Club. So we're really, really pleased with how that went.
Cool. And I've just noticed that you on some of your schedules that you're looking at doing the fenced rings as well. Is that something that your show is doing, or are you encouraging other showmen or UK shows to do that anyway?
So it's just our shows at the minute, because our first shows that we did, Bounce and Squeak, they are on a farm which has livestock fencing. So we started out doing fenced rings there. So we wanted to continue it with the Barkside ones that we're running. And with our experience, we find that actually, I know there's pros for it, but it just is a bit more of it encourages some people to come that might feel a little bit less confident if it was just completely open rings. We've never had any incidents of dogs actually running at the fencing or anything like that. And I think if we did, we would probably, you know, speak to that competitor. I just think it's just something else to get the beginners feeling a bit more confident. Because the dogs, when they're doing the agility, most of the time that's what they're focused on. It's just a nice extra to have, we feel. Yeah.
I think so. So I think, like you say, especially when we're aiming, when you're trying to encourage a few more beginners and stuff like that, it's just something to make them feel a little bit more, even if their dog isn't necessarily one that runs off or whatever, it just makes you feel a little bit more confident, and, you know, you can relax a little bit more, which is what we want really from a beginner's point of view. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Was you going to say something, Emma, then?
Yeah, rule changes. I saw something on social media. Somebody said to me, "Oh, you must have read the rule book." I'm like, "No, I haven't."
Whoever reads a rule book? Whoever reads a rule book? Come on.
Yeah, that must have taken you ages to go through and chat and have a look at the rules and see what you wanted to change and everything else. What are the changes? And I promise you, I will have a look. What is around rewarding in the ring? Is there any?
Yes, so we changed this year. So when we had a look at the rules, we had a long list of things that we wanted to change, and rewarding in the ring was one of them. So obviously UKA is known for NFC, so not for competition, which is great. So we've kept that. We've increased the time for NFC to 60 seconds rather than 45 seconds. Just we feel it's more in line with, you would probably get the course time if you were running the course and then decided to just redo some sequences, and 45 seconds wasn't really long enough for us, so we changed that. We did have a look at doing an NFC with treats, but we felt that it would just cause more issues than it would solve. I know there are little independent shows that do it, but for shows where, you know, you're competing for progression, if someone's gone in before you with treats and has dropped it on a run, you know, it's not going to be great for the dog afterwards. And we also introduced the rule where you can now have a toy with you when you're running, it's not visible to the dog. So similar to Kennel Club, we just can't have it in your hand. My boy, he's 4, I call him a baby, but he's 4, but he likes to think I've got a ball with him. So it was quite hard for me to try and sneak a ball away at the start without him seeing. And sometimes it's just not great for them. So to get them that need that little bit of encouragement and can have their toy as soon as they're finished under test, I think it was a good decision.
I also think that for some handlers feel more, not necessarily just the dogs, but I also know there's quite a few handlers that I speak to that feel more confident when they've got a toy on them, so they can handle any situation if they need to. So, you know, at the end of a run, you know, when they want to get their dog under control or whatever that is, especially if it's a busy show and stuff, and if you've got to root around for the toy and find it and stuff like that, sometimes it's, you know, to have a toy to hand very quickly is a good thing, I think, anyway. And there was a big discussion around the Kennel Club recently, wasn't there, about toys in the ring, where a lot of people didn't realise that you could actually take a toy with you on a run at Kennel Club as well, as long as you're not holding it in your hand.
I think it's a good thing as well that the rules are quite level, because, you know, sometimes, particularly, I mean, you know, it's hard enough for us keeping abreast of the situation, but to kind of keep for beginners coming in, it's good for them to know, okay, across the board, I'm allowed to carry a toy in a secure pocket, and I'm not allowed to carry food and reward food. So that's a really good thing.
One less thing for them to worry about.
Is there any other real big changes, Holly?
So another big change that we did based on feedback, we changed the grade equivalent levels for UKA. So previously, well, we still got beginners, novice, senior and champion. And previously beginners was grades 1, 2, 3, and we've changed it to grades 1 to 2 now. Because the feedback was that there are a lot of dogs that were in beginners that probably shouldn't have been in beginners, and it was a bit disheartening for the proper grade 1 or 2 dogs to be competing against dogs like that, especially when it comes to the grand finals and stuff. So that was one we wanted to change. Along with, we introduced a rule that if you haven't competed with the UK for over a year, you can change your dog's level up to match the Kennel Club level. So that's to stop people coming back and doing the same thing. So if they've got the dog to grade 7 and they wanted to come back, they would probably be put off because they don't want to run beginners courses. You know, it's a bit too easy for their dogs, and we wanted to encourage as many people back to UK as possible. So we thought this would be a good way to do it.
Is that performance as well as steeplechase? So for instance, if you win your grade 2 dog up to grade 3, then that puts you into the next level of beginner steeplechase. So you're then in the new qualifying section.
So it goes across the board. So if you win up to grade 3, you'll be novice in performance and steeplechase.
Brilliant.
It's really cool. And you've got and you changed a little bit with the masters as well, didn't it? With the master series, you've now made that to senior and champ.
We did. Well, because masters, we thought it just needed something a bit new to bolster the numbers, because the numbers were never huge. And because this year we're having the courses designed by the WAO and EO and AWC judges to try and give, the dogs that are chasing those competitions a bit of practice. We thought it's not just going to be champ dogs that are wanting to go to those competitions. And we thought if we open it up to senior, at least it's, you know, there's going to be more dogs competing in it. Because if you look at, say, Martin Reed and Selfie, when they went to, you know, the international comps last year, they got to that through, I think it was the Open Showcase, which was the Team GB one, because they were, you know, just starting out on their agility journey. And we don't just want to have it for the dogs that have got up to champ. You know, it gives, you know, the chance that the dogs that are in senior a chance to have a go as well.
Yeah, I think it's from a raw point of view, I think that was one of the better ones that you did for me, and also the new steeplechase qualifier that you've got for novice, senior, and champ as well. I think that's because I always found with UK that this steeplechase program sort of took a backseat, really, because once you've gone past your beginners qualifier, there's nothing else to keep you going through as steeplechase apart from giving your dog a run at the end of the day, if, you know, or the beginning of the day or whatever, stretch their legs. But other than that, there's no reason to do a steeplechase. So to have a qualifier for the novice, senior, and champ, I thought was a really good move.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, because I did the same. I used to just pop my as my dogs went up the grades, I used to pop them back in, keep them in beginner steeplechase just to give them a blast.
And you know, and if you've got like an event coming down, you know, if you've got masters or something in the afternoon, I used to use the steeplechase just to go and stretch, warm up, really, just to get them stretched out a little bit and whatever, just before a bigger. But to have something now to get your teeth into is actually
and I think we wanted to give, well, like you said, give them something to aim for, but then stop the dogs being held in beginner steeplechase for the qualifiers. And like we did love,
most people are.
and we did love circular knockout. Like, it's a great spectator sport, but then I think sometimes if you're an outsider coming into grand finals and watching circular knockout, and maybe two dogs are on the course and one's chasing another, it didn't look great sometimes, because it was open to all. So we spoke to Norton Rosettes, who sponsored that, just to check if they were happy with swapping to steeplechase, and they were more than happy to do it. So I thought brilliant. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, absolutely, really good. So have you got anything else planned for, you know, coming up in the future? Any changes that you're going to think about that you can sort of tell everybody about, or is it just going to sort of see what happens over the next few months and then?
Yeah, I think we're just going to see what happens over the course of this year. I mean, we've had a few UKA shows already this year, so I think we'll just see what the feedback is from competitors about if they like the new rules, if they think there's anything further that we can change, and just go from there. Because a lot of the changes we made this year were from feedback from everybody. You know, we spoke to all you show managers. We had a lot of emails from competitors. So I think that's what we want to do from this year. We've got nothing in mind at the minute, just see how it beds in, and then take a view maybe September, October time about what changes we can make for next year.
So
and go on, sorry, Stuart.
I was just going to say about the grand finals, the date change that you've got this year for the grand final. I know it was this year because of obviously the changes and the bits and pieces. It was the only time you could get a venue and all that sort of stuff. But is that going to be that date for this year, for next year, or are you going to try and get back to the previous dates?
No, we're gonna get back to the previous dates. We're looking at October. We're just waiting for, I mean, it's very old school at the venue. We're waiting for them to get a paper diary for 2024 so they can write us in. So we're just asking, but they've not got it yet. But we'll be first knocking on the door to get those dates booked in. So we'll be back for October time for 2024.
Yeah, that's cool. And was it like so moving the grand finals obviously a little bit further up north from where it is at the moment, sort of more central, I suppose, for the country from that point of view. Was that a decision you made beforehand, or did you go, right, that's the venue, or was it just something like, we want to move there, let's look for a venue?
So Karen has moved her UKA shows there, so we thought we'll have a look and see if we think it's suitable for grand finals. And it's not just that it's closer to us, but it is more central for everybody. If you look at, we've got, you know, people that compete at Crooked Oak that come down from Scotland, and, you know, even Crooked Oak is up in Carlisle. So we wanted to make it more central for everybody. And to be honest, my caravan after Bury Farm at grand finals this year was just absolute so muddy. So just like if we can get somewhere that's not so it's not going to wreck my caravan again is a bonus for me. But yeah, so it took me 4 and a bit hours to get to grand finals, which I'm more than happy to do to compete. But then when we're setting up, it's a bit trickier. But that wasn't the primary decision. You know, we wanted to make it more central for everybody, and obviously moving it up north has other benefits, like it is a bit cheaper than Berry Farm, for example, and other venues. So we can pass those cost savings onto competitors as well. So we can make the whole event a bit cheaper for everybody that's attending, which we really wanted to do, because we don't want people to have to spend a fortune to come to grand finals if they're qualified. We want to be able to make sure it's successful for as many people as possible.
Yeah. I mean, the move of the venue for me, I know there was a little bit when you first announced it. There was a few sort of social media threads about it was this, and I preferred it down here, preferred it up there. But I think there's quite a few of us. I think I made a comment that it was whichever venue you go to, it's 30 minutes from somebody and 5 hours from somebody else. Wherever you go, somebody's going to have to travel. And I think I'm very guilty of it from a UKA point of view, but we got very settled in the fact that it's right down here on the M5.
Yeah.
All of the shows seem to be down the M5, M4 corridor, that everybody's just seemed to be down south. And we got very stuck in that and relaxed with that. And then obviously when you took over and a few shows started to come a little bit further up north and move, it was, I'm not going to say it was a shock, but it was almost like people were like, well, I can't travel that far. It's so used to being, under the bottom end of Gloucester and down, really. So to have them move up a little bit north, I can understand that some people would be like, well, we've got to move, but we've still got those shows.
Right, nearest UKA show is Norfolk.
Yeah. And that's, what's that for you? That's about two. What's that for you? That's about 2 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about 2 hours. So that everybody's going to have to travel. And I know, like, even from a kennel club point of view, we travel up to like Scunthorpe, we travel up to wherever, it is what it is. You're going to travel to get to what you need to. And you think about Olympia and Crufts and all the other sort of big final events. There's people fly down from the north end of Scotland to get down to London just to do one run at Olympia. And, so 3 or 4 hours in a car to wherever just to do that is needed for me anyway.
And we're not saying it's going to be there forever. If we're finding that people don't like it or it doesn't turn out to be suitable. I mean, we've had a show there already and it was great, but then if we have grand finals and think, oh, actually we don't think it was as good as we thought, we're open to other ideas. We're not going to be set in stone and say it's going to be here forever. If people know with other venues that they think is suitable, then let us know, because we can't have a look for everything. I can't spend my days on Google trying to look up venues. We rely on people sending us in. So if you do want it to move and don't think it's there, just let us know and we can have a look. We're happy to speak to other places. We're not going to say it's there, tough.
So are you how are you getting on with going up towards like Scotland? Because I know that there's a few of the people up in Scotland there were inquiring, weren't they, a little bit about whether they could get a show up there. And then but from a distance point of view, I assume there's a bit of not resistance. I suppose you've just gone to Northern Ireland, so it can't be that bad. But are there any sort of thoughts and plans to move to Scotland if you can get the show managers up there?
Yeah, definitely. So we asked on the Dog Agility in Scotland group what their views were on, running UK shows up there. So we've got a lot of great feedback from that. And we are still exploring some options, but it's definitely something we want to look at. But then it's just geographically, obviously, with Scotland, because it is so spread apart, the cities and the towns up there. So we just need to look at where would be best, whether it be smaller shows, so people can have progression, or whether we do like a big one-off show once a year or something like that. But it's definitely something we want to explore. I would say it's UK Agility. We want to have shows as many places as possible, so that everybody can access them.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Perfect. So I was going to say, with regards of sort of the grand finals itself as it was, are you planning on putting any more sort of qualifiers? Are you sticking with the same qualifiers we've got, or you're going to drop any, you know, is there any sort of plans to mix that up a little bit, or are you sticking with what you've got now? So I think you've got good coverage.
Yeah, so at the minute, well, obviously for this year, we're sticking with what we've got, but we are looking into the possibility of something for the lower height dogs. So for those that just do select height and can't actually do their full height, because the qualifiers at the minute, you can only qualify at full height, can't qualify at select height.
Yeah,
that's really something we want to look into, but we just need to try and figure out the best sort of competition for it to make it as fair as possible, because we do want it to just be for those dogs that can't do their full height, and not just that they choose to do it on occasion. So if anybody's got select dogs and can think of any good ideas, please let us know, because that's something we really, really would love to do. And we just need to get some ideas together and have some discussions about how we make it fair.
I'll tell you what I used to love, which is nothing to do with select height, but Paula Merriman used to do the agility antics, and she used to do the AAA. And
yeah, she still does.
Yeah, but the finals were run at Osberton, weren't they?
Yeah.
The Osberton horse trials, and the it was amazing. It was absolutely fabulous. So I got a couple of my dogs there, and we used to love going to their show and just qualifying and running a different type of event. It was really nice.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something for consideration, because obviously Kennel Club has Olympia, not Olympia at the horse show. So having a look into events like that would be good. We've got some this year that are, so Dogstable, which is at a dog festival. We're going to have a competition ring there, so that'll be quite good. But yeah, we're definitely open to seeing what we can do in regards to more prestigious things. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's all, I definitely think that, I mean, from the event that, I mean, we ran our Christmas show, although it wasn't at Christmas, it was still our Christmas show because of the cancellation and postponement that we had to do and all that sort of stuff. But I just noticed that, and looking at the last few shows that I've seen online, and we visited there and stuff, the numbers dramatically, I think, have just all of a sudden spiked, you know. Now I don't know whether that's just like from a coincidence point of view, whether all of a sudden somebody's just woken up a little bit. I know that, you know, with the COVID situation, that people have been really sort of tentative about whether they come back out into agility world or whether they go to these big shows or not, and this and the other. So I think that's coincided with it a little bit, but I definitely noticed that the numbers of, you know, and the shows are running a little bit later, which I know for some people it's a bit of a pain. They go, well, I'm not staying there till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or whatever that is. But just from a numbers point of view, that's got to be a good thing, that the numbers are bigger now. Yes, the shows are going to go on longer, but, you know, the fact that you get more numbers turn up has got to be a good thing, I think.
Oh yes, definitely. We've been so pleased with the amount of people that have been coming to the show so far. It's, you know, not just ours. We've had, you know, we had Barkside January. We had yours, Stuart. We had Karen's at Canine Brats, and Northern Ireland was great. And I was just at Judy's show, UK Valentine's this weekend, and they've all had fab numbers. And I think it is a combination of sort of after COVID, it's sort of gone back to pre-COVID numbers. We've obviously got qualifiers on earlier this year because the grand finals are earlier. And I think maybe because it's, you know, new management, people just want to come and try and come along and see if they like it. We've had a lot of brand new people as well, which is really encouraging. So I think it's a combination of all of them. And yeah, the shows have gone on longer than we would like, but obviously it is tiring for everybody involved. But you know, we live and we learn. So we probably, you know, maybe reduce caps or reduce classes for the indoor winter shows if it's going to continue the way it is. But we don't know until we get there on the day, and you know, as you very well know, how long it's going to take.
Yeah, so I mean, with the late entry system, you're not sure, are you? That's the problem. And we've always had we've always had the same, always been the same with late entries, always.
I love the late.
I love the late entries though.
You're right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
which is part of the reason why we capped with our Christmas chase show. We always put a cap on entry levels, because we've done it a couple of years where we didn't, and we were taking late entries. And again, they say we've always been there till whatever time in the evening. But I think when there's, you know, early doors, we were there we've been for years. I know we've been at shows till 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night for some shows. It's not the first. They're not the first shows to be running late. So I know
No.
some people are sort of, you know, oh, it's too late for me, whatever. But we used to be running, you know, late shows.
It's what Stuart, is you can't keep everybody happy.
Exactly. And a winter show, especially an indoor winter show, and all the bits and pieces that go with it. I think most people have to accept the fact that it's, you know, you're going to be stuck there for a certain amount of time, and you enter with that in mind. And it always feels worse in the winter, doesn't it? Come 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and it's starting to get dark.
Yeah.
You think it's later than it actually is. Everybody goes, oh, it's late, and you look and it's only 3:30, and you go, well, still got
Yeah, that doesn't help with some venues when it's getting dark outside and you've still got classes to run.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something we're so pleased, and we're so glad that people have come to the shows. Obviously, we appreciate every single person, but it is something that we will be looking at, seeing how we can not finish so late, because obviously we don't want to finish late and get home late either.
Yeah, and we've said the same when running our shows. When people are saying about how late it's running, you go, well, you know, you're going to go home in a minute, and we've still got to pack everything away and tidy up. And I know we get money for it, we get paid for it, you know, we do all the bits and pieces for it, and I know it's part of what we do, but it's still a full day. You know, by the time you get home 8, 9 o'clock at night, and you've got to unpack everything and all the bits and pieces that go with that. So it is a long day for everybody, but I was just really impressed with the numbers. I looked at the numbers. I didn't go to Valentine's this weekend, but I looking at the numbers and stuff, and I was so pleased that all the, you know, that they were. I was almost pleased that they were there a little bit later than normal, because it just shows that they were busy, and you know, the numbers were up there, and that's what it should be now, I think. And and hopefully that rolls on into spring and summer as well.
Fingers crossed.
Again, perfect. Right. Anything you got to add, Emma? Anything you need?
No, just how, if somebody is interested in getting a show off the ground for you, how they get in contact with you, Holly.
So we've got the inquiries email address. So it's enquiries@ukagility.com. So they in, they can message the UKA Facebook page, or they can message me if they'd rather. I get a lot of messages anyway, so I'm fine with that. So just get in touch however you'd like. And, you know, we're happy to have a chat like this. We've had a few chats with potential show managers at video call, and, you know, met up with them face to face at shows. So yeah, or even any questions about UK in general, just feel free, you know, anybody just to get in touch, however's most comfortable for them, just to ask. You know, we want to help everybody, and we want people to come to the shows. So we want to answer the questions, and there's no stupid questions.
No, fabulous.
Perfect. Right. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. It's been interesting just to get a little bit of an insight into obviously the new bits and pieces. So, and hopefully spring and summer shows will pick up as well, and you know, UK will take off a little bit more, and it'll be nice and successful for you all. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right.
Speak to you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.